I've got some really good news for you. Early this morning, Nikon USA just announced an event on May the 10th with the catchphrase, "Are you ready?" And I think our collective response is going to be a big, "Hell yeah, we're ready." I've got the details coming up after this short break. But first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter. But most importantly, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, but most importantly, it really does help this channel grow, and it's much appreciated. Early this morning, Nikon USA posted a YouTube event scheduled for May the 10th, 2023 at 8 a.m. in the morning. That's just 13 days from now. And what I'm going to do on that date, 1 hour before the announcement, I'm going to do a live stream with special guests, and we're going to talk about this much anticipated camera, the Nikon Z8, and what the rumored specifications are at the time, what we think this camera is going to be able to do, and then we're going to cover the announcement live and then do some post-show commentary. So I'm really excited about that, just 13 days from now. But Nikon, they have a catchphrase, and it's, "Are you ready?" And I said right at the beginning that I thought our collective response would be, "Hell yeah, we're ready." But I want you to let Nikon know in the comment section down below if you're ready. Let us know, are you ready for this event? I think we've been waiting for the Nikon Z8 since, well, I think going back to 2020 when Canon released the R5, and we thought, okay, where's Nikon's response to that camera? 2020 came and went, then 2021 came and went, and sadly 2022 came and went. And what was significant about 2022 is Twitter, the Twitter channel, or whatever we call them on Twitter, the twit. I'm on mute. I don't even know what we call. I have a channel, whatever it's called on Twitter. Anyhow, How to Fly said that we're supposed to be getting a Nikon Z8 announcement in the middle of the year, around middle of summer, and then it was supposed to be October, and we got excited. We thought, hopefully. But Nikon rumors all along was saying, nope, not going to happen. It's going to be in the second quarter of 2023. And sure enough, here we are in the second quarter of 2023, and we have an announcement scheduled. But the big question is, what camera is going to be announced? Is it going to be the Nikon Z8? Well, if you know anything about what's been going on in the news lately, all the news and rumors regarding the Nikon Z8, all the leaks, all the specifications, the photos, I think it's a foregone conclusion that the camera that we're going to get is definitely going to be the Nikon Z8. But we also might have a lens, a super telephoto like the 200 to 600 millimeter. But some of you have been asking, what about the Z6 Mark III or the Z7 Mark III? Well, we've heard nothing about that. There is a chance they could announce another camera, but I don't see them doing it at the same event. If this is the Nikon Z8, and I'm 99.99% sure it is, well, they're not going to put any other camera body out at the same time. We might get accessories, we might get lenses, but this is all about the Nikon Z8. It's its show. We've waited 3 long years for this, and it's finally coming to pass. And we've already got 2 leaked images of the R8. This one here, which is the front view, which is pretty decent, although it's still low resolution, and this one from the back. A cropped in image. What are they trying to do? Hide the LCD, that it's a tilt screen, a 4-axis screen, whatever it is. They're hiding certain buttons, but it looks very similar from the top and from the back and the front, like the Nikon Z9. All right, let's take a quick look at the specifications that are rumored for the Nikon Z8. This is taking into account all the latest leaked specifications thanks to Nikon rumors, and obviously it's going to be announced on May the 10th, and it's expected to ship by the end of the month or early June. So I've already got some pre-order links down below. These are what I call smart links. If you actually open them up right now, they're going to take you to Adorama or B&H, but you're not going to see anything. But as soon as Nikon USA makes the announcement, they're going to be live. So if you already take these and bookmark them, and then when we have the announcement, just keep refreshing them until they're valid, and then click the pre-order link. And what that's going to do is save you a few seconds, and it's going to get you, well, further ahead into the queue. All right, now in terms of the sensor, we keep getting validation about this, that it's supposed to have the exact same sensor as the Nikon Z9, a 45.7 megapixel full frame stacked sensor. And that's a big deal. That stacked gives us extra performance that the competition doesn't have. And that, well, allows us to do some other things, but I'll get to that shortly. The image processor, same as the Nikon Z9, an X-Speed 7 image processor. No mention if it's going to be dual or not, so we're just going to assume one at this point. And that stacked sensor and that image processor is going to allow us to do 8K video. And not just 8K video, but 8.3K video up to 60 frames per second. So all the basic frame rates as well as 50 and 60 frames per second. But here's what I'm thinking. We know that to do 8K DCI, you need around 44.7 megapixels. So how are we getting 8.3K? Well, what I think that is 8.3K is limited to UHD. Now, I don't know if it's going to do DCI. I'm pretty sure it will. But if it's going to do DCI, unless you're using some other trick, it's going to be limited to 8K at up to about 60 frames per second. We don't have any information on 4K, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they're going to follow Canon here at least and give us 4K, all the basic frame rates, 50, 60, 100, and 120 frames per second. The only question is, will they bump it up to, let's say, 150 or 180 frames per second or 240? I don't know. I definitely think that if we do go to that level of performance, that we're definitely going to see a drop off in terms of quality, in terms of detail. And it's just pure speculation. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Will they go above 120? And in terms of 1080, there's no mention there either, but I think it's safe to say we'll get at least 120 frames per second. I also think it's safe to say that we'll get Nikon RAW. Apple ProRes, that one we don't know anything about. We did get it in the Nikon Z9, but will we get it in the Z8? Well, we'll just have to wait a few weeks to find out. But in the meantime, we should be able to get some more leaks coming out to validate this information. Now let's spend some time covering off some of the photo specifications of this camera. The Nikon Z8 will be able to shoot 20 frames per second electronic. That's the same as the Nikon Z9. It's also the same as the Canon EOS R5, and it's 10 frames per second faster than the Sony A7R5, and that's because it's shooting with a CF Express Type B card slot, and that allows 2 channels or 2 PCI lanes, giving you I think a maximum sustained write performance currently by Angelbird at 1.48 gigabytes per second if you're shooting with CF Express Type B. So that's pretty impressive. Now, one thing, like the Nikon Z9, it doesn't have a mechanical shutter. It's electronic shutter only, and the shutter speed is 1/32,000th of a second, all the way down to 900 seconds, and the ISO range is 64 to 25,600, and I imagine that's going to be the same range in video as stills. We've now got confirmation that the EVF is 3.69 million dots. It's OLED, same as the Nikon Z9. And the tilt screen, we know that it's going to be 3.2 inches, but we don't know if it's going to be a full flippy screen. Look, we're getting the sense that it's just going to be a tilt screen at this point. I would love it to be a 4-axis tilt screen, but it might just be the same sort of tilt screen that we got on the Nikon Z9. It's going to have IBIS with 6 stops, and it's going to have the same battery as the Nikon Z7. It's also going to support an extended battery grip. Although, if you're going to get that, then why not get the Nikon Z9? Because once you add in the price and the weight, you're not too far ahead. But the nice thing is you do have that option to go up to get that battery grip. But again, think about this. If you're interested in purchasing the battery grip, maybe you just need to think of spending a little bit extra to $5,500 to get the Nikon Z9. As I mentioned earlier, it does have one CF Express Type B card slot, but it also has another card slot, and that's a UHS 2 card slot. So it'll be able to take advantage of not just V30, but V60 and V90 SD cards, giving you, I think, the maximum sustained write speed on a V90 card. It's Angelbird, and believe it or not, it's all the way up to 260 megabytes per second. That's pretty fast. It's megabytes, not bits. But again, CF Express Type B, so much faster, and they're so much cheaper right now. I think you can spend $330 for a 100 or 1 terabyte drive, a 1 terabyte card from Angelbird. So you're looking at around $330. It's so much faster. You're getting, I don't know, I think it's 1,300 megabytes per second, maximum sustained write speed. So if you're doing continuous stills, 20 frames per second, to give you an idea, on the Nikon Z9, based on its buffer, you're able to hold down that shutter button, 20 frames per second, lossless RAW, and it's 1.2 gigabytes per second. So you definitely need that CF Express Type B if you're doing continuous high-speed shooting, lossless RAW. One other thing about the shutter speed, we did say 20 frames per second, but I forgot to mention that if you're willing to shoot JPEG, you can go all the way up to 120 frames per second or 119 frames per second, and that's most likely going to be at 11 megapixels, same as the Nikon Z9. And in terms of the weight, well, I'm just going to put it here and not read it off to you. We've got the weight of the camera. All right, now let's talk about pricing, because that's what a lot of people are worried about. The price in euros, $45.99. And in brackets on Nikon rumor site, they say that's equivalent to $5,000. Okay, I want you to kind of discount that there, because that's kind of leading you in the wrong direction. What you've got to understand is that $4,500 price has the tax already in it. Now, if you're in the United States or Canada, you have that base price, and then depending on what state or province you're in, you pay your sales tax on top of that. So here in Ontario, if it was $45.99, we'd pay 13% on top of that. Well, in Europe, the price is already included. It already includes the tax rate. So $45.99 includes a 20% tax. So if we take into account the tax, we take into account the exchange rate, I really think that the price of this camera is going to be $38.99 to $39.99. Now, while I think it's possible to also go to $40.99, I think that Nikon's going to keep this price under $4,000. They're going to keep the price right in the same price point as the Canon EOS R5 and the Sony A7 R5. So really, really interesting. And once I get confirmation on the exact price in US dollars, I'll be sure to let you know. But I think you can pretty much budget based on it being no more than $4,099. But I'm gonna say there's a 95% chance it's going to be right around $38 to $39.99. Pretty exciting, right? I don't know how many videos I've done in the last couple of days, getting up early, staying up late, sometimes doing as many as 3 videos. And that's because cameras to me are fun. It's my hobby. It's something I really enjoy. And despite shooting on a Canon, well, Nikon has been dear to my heart for many, many decades. I grew up with Canon and Nikon shooters, and I'm just a bit of a big camera geek. I love this stuff. I love the technology. So that's why I'm doing a live stream an hour before Nikon gives their announcement on May the 10th. And instead of doing it, so they're doing theirs at 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to be going live at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's probably going to be a little bit loud here because my son's going to be getting ready for school, but I'm super excited. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, everything Nikon Z8, as well as the R5 Mark II or firmware updates, whatever it is, all the major camera news and rumors, go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. It doesn't cost you any cent. It doesn't cost you a cent. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors, then what you want to do is you also want to make sure you check your junk and spam folder, because a lot of times those notifications will come in there. And for all the minor news and rumors, well, then go ahead and follow me on Twitter, this address here, because there I post a lot of the, well, news and interesting stories or price discounts that really aren't big enough to have their own separate video. So for example, the Nikon Z6 Mark II, I keep wanting to say Mark III, is currently on sale for $300 off. And I tweeted that out several days ago. Also, if I find some really big deals on Adorama, B&H, or elsewhere, I'll tweet those out as well. So make sure you go ahead and follow me on Twitter. And just a quick talk about the smart links. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but if you didn't catch it, I do have pre-order links for the Nikon Z8 at Adorama and B&H. If you go ahead and open up those links right now, you're not going to see it because it hasn't been announced. But these are smart links. If you go ahead and bookmark those links, as soon as we get that announcement, you go ahead and keep refreshing until it shows up. It's going to save you a few seconds over just going to the sites themselves. Grab those, bookmark them, and then you'll be able to pre-order, getting a little bit ahead in the queue. So super exciting. It's a beautiful sunny day here today. It's Wednesday, and my son's going for his grading at his karate tournament, and if all goes well, he'll have his orange belt. So if there's any news between, let's say, dinner time and early evening, I'm going to be out of touch, but I will get back and update if there's any news. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.